What's up, guys? Welcome back to Move Live. I hope you've had a great start to the week. Our workout today is going to look like this. We've got the warm-up up first, get you guys nice and loose and limber, and then we're going to move into the build section. And that'll consist of 2 separate 4-minute EMOMs. From there, we're going to move into the move workout, which is going to be a little bit on the longer side. So 2 10-minute AMRAPs. We'll see some skipping, some split squats, and some devil's presses. So that one's going to get pretty spicy. We've also got a finisher at the end there, a little bit of direct arm work just to finish off. Once that's finished, we'll go into some stretching as well. So having a look at the warm-up, what we're going to be doing is starting off with 1 minute of cardio of your choice. So what we're going to do is just single unders. Now, you guys can pick whatever you want, but our movement is going to look like this. So with a skipping rope, just normal single unders there. We do that for 1 minute. What happens from there is the next 4 minutes, each minute we're going to do 8 goblet lunges. So you can see that kind of front racked position, M's in there, stepping back into the lunge. Once she's done 8, we're going to go into 8 single dumbbell strict press. So we'll go both hands on the dumbbell, grabbing either end, and then we're pressing up to overhead. Now, if you happen to get that done with a little bit of space left in the minute, guys, you just rest. And when it ticks over into the next minute, you go back onto those goblet lunges, back into the strict presses. So, Em, if you're ready to go, we'll get a timer on and we'll get this 1 minute of cardio going to start us off. All right, here we go, guys. Going in 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So remember, you guys, you can pick whatever you want. So jumping jacks, running high knees. If you've got any cardio equipment at home, feel free to jump on that. But just something nice and straightforward. Allow that body to kind of start to climb in intensity and warm up and get everything nice and loose. So 1 minute on this. Remember, once we've finished with this, we're going to go into that 4-minute section, doing 8 goblet lunges, 8 single dumbbell strict press every minute on the minute. If you are doing skipping like Em is, guys, you want to tuck those elbows in tight against the body. You'll see her hands and her wrists are just kind of just out from the hips there. So he's just kind of spinning at the wrists rather than the shoulders doing a heap of work. We've also got the feet nice and close together and just rebounding off the balls of the feet. So 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. So we're onto the goblet lunge for 8 and strict press for 8 as well. So important part with the lunges, guys, we want to get a gentle touch of the knee to the ground. We know that we've hit full depth. Once we hit 8, we're going to go into the single dumbbell press. So that is pressing up to overhead. So our marker there is full lockout stacked over the top of the center of the body and then down below chin height at the bottom. So she's obviously finished with a little bit of time to spare there, 25 seconds to have a little bit of a breather. And then we'll repeat into the next couple of rounds. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So back on those lunges. So nice tall posture, guys. It's always really tempting when we've got a weight in that front rack position to kind of get pulled forward and lean forward into a hinge. We want to be strong through that midsection. So keep the body tall. Keep that dumbbell as close to your collarbones as you can. Similar sort of deal when we're doing the presses here. We want to have that same active kind of midsection so that we're not slouching and bending backwards as we press up overhead. All right, so resting again. In seconds. So hopefully we're starting to feel the blood pumping and get the body warm. We are going in 3, 2, 1 and back into the lunges. So very important, guys, when you step back, the foot that's out in front of you, you want to keep that heel really locked onto the ground. So picture everything kind of moving backwards from that point rather than the knee kind of ditching forwards. You want to really put your weight into that back leg. Keep the heel on that front leg nice and heavy. Okay, so again, you can see that nice active midsection on M there. She's not bending backwards. She's keeping tall. And then at the top there, that head is kind of popping through into that nice full lockout position. So one more round on this. Okay, 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So remember, guys, if you're doing this outside, maybe you're on concrete or tiles, something hard, probably a good idea to put something under that knee touching the ground just so you don't graze the knee or tear a hole in your leggings there or anything like that. See, Em's got the yoga mat. That's a good idea. So just making sure you've got something to make this a little bit more smooth. Nice. All right. So we've still got 30 seconds left in the minute. So we'll let those people who are still going finish that off. If you have finished, guys, feel free to grab yourself a drink, peel off any layers if you're getting warm now, and get rid of the jumper, get rid of the trackies. Three, two, one, and done. All right, so that's the warm-up done, guys. Feel free to take a moment just to kind of catch your breath. As I say, get a drink of water, change outfit, whatever you need to do. We're going to look at the build section next. So we'll start going through that in a moment once you've had a breather. Okay, so just whilst you're chilling out there, guys, let's run through these movements. Now, I mentioned in the brief that this is 2 separate 4-minute EMOMs. So the first one, what's going to happen each minute is we're going to do 10 alternating sit-throughs. So Em's going to get into kind of like a bear crawl position. From there, she's going to pivot and take one leg through, kind of tap her butt to the ground, back to that start position, and then go to the other side. Okay, and it's just back and forth, going for 10 reps on that. Now, once you've completed the 10th one, you're going to go into a quad hold, which is just that start position hold. So it's knees slightly off the ground. We're holding there for the remainder of the minute. So we do 4 cycles of that, 10 sit-throughs, max quad hold. That's the first 4-minute EMOM. You'll then get a 1-minute break, and we enter the second 4-minute EMOM, which is going to go 50 double unders. So we're going to grab that skipping rope again. Okay, so we have the double skips there. There's 2 rope passes per jump, 50 of those, and then in remaining time of each minute, we're going to go max curtsy lunges. So Em's going to step back, but she's also going to kind of step across as well. So we can see that it's not a straight line lunge. She's now crossing over, getting into that really nice deep sort of glute stretch as she moves through them. So that'll happen for remaining time of each of those minutes. And again, 4 cycles of that to make up that 4-minute EMOM. So Em, if you're ready to go, we'll get ready for that first part. We'll get a timer on. So 10 alternating sit-throughs into max quad hold each minute for 4 minutes. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So this one is a lot about coordination and balance, guys. If you haven't done this one before, it will test you out a little bit. You will feel like you're going to fall over sometimes. So just start off slow, keep controlled, and just we're back and forth, really trying to get good extension with that leg as we hit that end point. So once we hit 10, we're going to hang out in that quad hold. And this one will be harder than you think it'll be, guys. It'll get pretty spicy. So if you do need to break it up, you can, but do your best to try to hang on as long as possible. Fill up that time as much as you can.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, so the shoulders are going to kick in pretty early with this. A little bit of rest every now and then is okay. Back into that hold, so 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So again, we're going those sit throughs, nice and active at the supporting shoulder. So like we do for, renegade rows, planks, push-ups, we're actively pushing the ground away. We're not sinking into that shoulder. Now you notice that the back foot is going to kind of pivot on the ball. So if it's stuck to the ground, you'll find it quite hard to move back and forth. So don't be afraid to allow that foot to sort of slide a little bit and pivot on the ground. When we get into this quad hold position, guys, we want the feet about kind of hip to shoulder width, same with the hands, and nice and active through that core. So you're sort of drawing belly button to spine, staying nice and solid through there. 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So back in now. So this is third round of 4. Going through those sit throughs. You can see that pivot of the feet that allows her to move into that kind of rotated position, going from facing down to facing up or facing across. Nice work, Em. Okay, so we're in that hold. Just hanging out there, trying to be mentally tough, guys. Push through. Test the body, see how far it can go. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So this is the last minute in this first section, guys. If you're starting to feel a little more coordinated and a little bit more stable, feel free to pick up the speed a bit. That's up to you. Make sure you're getting that nice extended position. Okay, last 30 seconds in this first piece, guys. So we're in that quad hold again. Now you'll find that this is going to be very similar to like a plank or a push-up hold, only the quads are probably going to feel a fair bit more of this because we're in that bent knee position. It's a bit of like a stress point. So this will get those quads to fire up quite a bit. Don't be bothered if they're starting to burn. That is totally normal. Last 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and resting. All right, so 60 seconds rest. We are going to move into the second 4-minute EMOM in a moment, guys. We'll have 50 double unders into max curtsy lunges in remaining time of each minute. Okay, 20 seconds, guys. And this next part, guys, if you can't double under, just single under. And if you don't have a rope, guys, just do the jumps on the spot. So just kind of mimic the position. So 50 double unders, max curtsy lunges, ready, set, and go for it. So one thing Em's doing really well here is she's not getting overactive at the shoulders and the traps. She's not ending up kind of hunched up and overusing them. She's just keeping them set down in a nice kind of neutral position, keeping the elbows tucked in so their arms are active but not overworking. Now from here we go into those curtsy lunges for remaining time. So this is where she is stepping back and across. So really want to look for that nice glute stretch. Okay, getting ready to go again in 3, 2, 1, and go for it. The other thing to notice here, guys, is M's legs, right? Although the knees are just going to momentarily soften just to kind of take the impact of the hit on the ground, there's not much bend in them at all. So she's not doing like a jump squat. It's just a nice spring. So especially from front on, her body's going to look like it's just straight up and down with no bends or breaks there. All right, so onto the curtsy lunges now, guys. So same rules as when we lunged in the warm-up. Obviously, we talked about that leg that's out in front having the heel locked to the floor. We're going to do the same deal here. The only difference is we're crossing across that midline with the back step. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So obviously, guys, Em's very, very smooth with her double under. She can knock out 50, no troubles. If 50 is a number that you can do, but maybe it takes you a couple of sets to get out, that's totally fine. As long as it's not taking you the entire minute. We do want to get some of those lunges out. So make sure that, if you're still double undering by about the 40, 45 second marker, probably just go rope down and then switch into those lunges. Make sure we get a little bit of both of those movements. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So final minute in the build workout. So 50 double unders and max lunges in remaining. All right, so final 30 seconds. So still got that nice light touch of the knee to ground. Nice tall posture. Last 10 seconds. And time. All right, guys, that is the build workout done. I'll give you guys the next couple of minutes to yourself just to chill and settle that heart rate. And then we'll start having a look at the move workout. So have a little bit of time to yourself, go for a bit of a walk, and we'll check out this next piece. All right, so guys, just whilst you're still catching your breath, looking at the move workout now, how this one's going to go is we're going to work for a 10-minute AMRAP. We're going to set a strong score, but not a maxed out score. We take a 2-minute break and then we do the workout all over again, and we're going to try and match or even beat that score. So this one is a lot about controlling your pace and thinking about your actual work output what can I keep up with? What can I repeat as I go through the second round of this? So 10-minute AMRAP, we're going to cycle between 35 double unders. So obviously we had a look at them before. Okay, that's our double under. We then move into 15 split squats. So we're going to take a lunge position, but we're going to fix our feet to the ground. So from here, it's just up and down. Okay, and we would do 15 on the one side, and then we switch, and we do 15 on the other side. So all the same mechanics as a lunge, just we have the feet fixed in place. And we move to our third movement, which is the pinnacle of suffering, which is the devil's press. So we're going to start standing, come down into a dumbbell burpee. We pop up onto the feet, and then we come up to overhead. Okay, so notice there M has gone from ground and swung straight up to overhead, kind of like a snatch or a kettlebell swing. You can also do a clean and press if you need to break that up. So to shoulder and then to overhead. But do try to go that single method straight up to overhead. It is quicker. It will get the dumbbells out of your hand faster at the end of the set. So do try to do that. So 10 minutes, remember 35 double unders, 15 each side on the split squats, 5 devil's presses. Set a strong score, but something that you can definitely keep up with when we move into the second round of it, which is going to be after that 2-minute break. So, Em, when you're ready to go, we'll get a timer on. Okay, so rope at the ready, guys. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So we're on for 35 double unders. We're going to just hold that same positioning we did before in the build workout. If you break 35 up, that's okay, but do the best you can. String together those nice long sets. Once we've done those 35, we're going to set up that split stance, and we are straight up and down, 15 reps on right and left in the split squat. Switching out, another 15. You can see she's got that front foot nice and grounded. There's no lifting of the heel. The shin ends up nice and vertical when she's in the deepest part of the lunge. And you basically draw a straight line from her head down to the knee that's touching the ground. All right, so devil's press is next. Okay, so down in the burpee. And then we go ground to overhead. So moving nice and smooth through this. If this is one that you haven't worked with before, guys, take your time with it. Figure out the coordination first, and then start to move through it faster as you feel comfortable. Nice work, Em. All right, so one round down, we get back on to the 35 double unders when you're ready. So good chance on the split squats, guys. Not that this is an easy movement by any stretch of the imagination, but it's generally kind of a slower, less explosive movement than the double unders and the devil's presses. So this is kind of your opportunity just to really get the breath in, try to settle the heart rate a little bit. It's slower by nature, so you want to kind of take that time to bring that that spike of heart rate that we got off the double unders there down a little bit before we head into the devil's presses. So nice and smooth, but focusing on that breathing. All right, gonna hit these devil's presses again. Now, one thing really important to notice as M comes up out of this, there is a moment where she jumps her feet back in and she engages her back. So right there, where she's pulling them off the ground, there's a moment where she's setting up the same way she would if she was doing, say, a heavy deadlift, a heavy clean, a heavy kettlebell swing. She's engaging her spine into a nice neutral position. So that, as opposed to jumping up into that really kind of tight sort of jackknife position with a rounded back and then just yanking them off the ground. She's taken a moment to be safe and stable, which is super important. All right, so back into these double unders, guys. Keep checking in all those, sort of tick the box on the list, guys. We want to have the feet together, only minimal bend at the knees, nice vertical torso, elbows in, yeah? Run through that list each time you do it. Make sure everything's where it should be. Okay, so we just rolled over halfway of this AMRAP, guys. We are on the downhill run. So 15 and then switch. So you can see that Em's kind of using the width of her yoga mat as kind of a little measure out as to how long that stance is going to be, which is a good idea. It just means we're going to get sort of a nice continuous setup from right to left and from round to round. You start to kind of narrow that up a little bit too much, it starts to feel awkward and uncomfortable. So good idea to use that little bit of a measurement to keep yourself in the right spot. All right, so back to the devil's presses, guys. So we want them set at about kind of shoulder width at the bottom on the ground, guys. There, that way you've got enough space to get your chest through the middle. So just a controlled lay down. So it's not a full strict push up. We want a level of tension through that core. And then we just roll it down, roll it straight up. And then we're up to overhead in a nice explosive manner. All right, so back onto the double unders again, guys. Remember, if you need to break them up, that's okay, but do the best you can to string them together. And you'll have those split squats as that slight lull where we can catch our breath a little bit. But try to push the tempo here. Okay, we're 3/4 way through this time cap, guys. So again, guys, good to have a little bit of padding underneath the knee if you're doing this on some rough ground, maybe floorboards or concrete. Protect that knee so you can confidently come down and get that contact at the bottom. All right, onto the devil's presses. So we're closing inside the last 2 minutes now. See that little moment where she engages her back, super important there. Once you do have that nice engaged position, it's all about that rapid swing, either up to shoulders or up to overhead in one go. So use that hip extension, use that momentum. Right, so about to roll into the final minute of this first 10-minute AMRAP, guys. So keep moving right up to the buzzer. Remember, we want a strong score, but not a maxed out score. Okay, final 45 seconds. We'll hit these lunges up. The beauty of the split squat versus the lunge, guys, is because we've got the feet fixed. You can cycle these a little bit quicker. You can see M pushing the tempo here, this home stretch, trying to get these split squats out underneath the time cap. So 20 seconds to go. 10 seconds. And time. All right, so we're resting now for 2 minutes, guys. Make a note of your score where you got up to there. We're going to try and chase that or at least match it in the next section. So 2 minutes to have a bit of a wander around. We kick back off again at the 12-minute marker on that running clock on the screen there. So have some rest, get some water in. Okay, 60 seconds to go, guys. Okay, final 30 seconds of the rest, guys. Remember, we start back from 0. We are trying to match or even beat our previous score. Good idea, guys. Check the clock at the end of each round. See how you're tracking along. See how your time splits measure up with the previous 10-minute block. 10 seconds. We're going to start with those 35 double unders again. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So we're back in another 10 minutes. So we'll be going through to the 22-minute marker on that running clock there, guys. 10 minutes on to get as far as we can. All right, to the split squats again. Now, by this stage, guys, the fatigue's going to be starting to get pretty thick in the legs there. The body's going to be getting tired. So what you'll find is your body's going to want to start to put your hands on that front knee and push off. We don't want to do that. We want to keep the hands by our side or even out in front of us, but don't start self-assisting by pushing off that leg that's taking away from the movement. We want to really try and put the work on the legs, make them strong, make them work hard. Nice. All right. So on to the devil's presses. We're controlled lay down and then up to overhead into that full lockout. So if you we're taking that first 10-minute block to sort of get used to this movement, guys. If you haven't done it much before, you're feeling good now, this might be a good spot to start making up a little bit of speed. You've got the the flow of things. You start to utilize that little bit of a swing between the legs on the way up. start to push that tempo a little bit. If it still feels wonky though, guys, still go slow. It's very important to keep that form tidy. All right, double unders are looking good. Still holding well with those unbroken sets for the most part. Hitting the split squats now. So keep checking everything is where it's supposed to be, guys. Is that front heel down? Is my knee contacting the floor? Is my posture tall? You're starting to lose some of those markers, guys. Slow it down, tidy it up. Prioritize form before speed. All right, onto the 5 devil's presses, guys. Remember to set them up about shoulder width at the bottom so you can get your chest through the middle. You'll notice that M's feet will kind of jump sort of narrow-ish at the back, and then they'll split out to about shoulder width at the top, and that's so that she can kind of open the hips, get the positioning right for that swing through. You don't want to jump up narrow because then you kind of got nowhere to go. All right, looking good for time there. We'll get back on the double unders again. You see the wrists doing all the work here, guys. There's really no movement at the shoulders, minimal at the elbows. It's mostly just a nice aggressive flick. Just going to turn that rope over. So keep checking and you've set up the feet in that right position. See, M's lead foot is just at the edge of the yoga mat. The other one's about maybe 3 or 4 inches behind it. So she's hitting the same spot each time. And that way her body doesn't have to kind of do the math to calculate a different position or a different balance. It just knows it's in that same spot each time. It'll just do the same movement. It makes her job a lot easier. Okay, so we have just rolled over the halfway marker in this second section, guys. We're on the home stretch now. That top lockout position, Em's doing a really nice job of getting that head through so she stacks those shoulders. We don't want to have the dumbbells out in front of ourselves. We want to kind of reach back to the point where they're out of view. Nice work, and that's looking good. We're gonna hit those split squats, 15 each side. Make sure we're staying sort of nice and open through the front of the hip. So the leg that's Going to go knee to ground. So Em's right leg, she's staying nice and open through the hip flexor there. She's not kind of bent or crooked forward, wanting to lean forward into it. She's making that leg do the work. All right, on to the devil's presses. Make sure you do get your pecs completely flat to the ground, guys. It's tempting sometimes to just hit the hips or the stomach. You want to completely lay flat, give it that nice deep kind of, it's almost like a deficit push-up position. We're stretching through past the dumbbells. All right, so we are rolling into the final 2 minutes now. Get back on these double unders, so nice and controlled, nice and focused. Good aggressive spring off the balls of the feet. Okay, 90 seconds to go. Doing a good job, Em. Keep on it. Okay, final 30 seconds, guys. Remember, if you are on the devil's presses, keep engaging that back. Keep it nice and solid as we pull them off the ground. 20 seconds. Last 10. And time. All right, well done, guys. That is the move workout done. That was a long one, so take a couple of minutes to yourself. We do have a finisher coming up. We're going to jump in for that. We'll just take a moment or so just to settle that heart rate. So go and get some water, and then we're going to look at doing a little bit of bicep work to finish off. All right, so just whilst you guys are continuing to catch your breath, what we're going to do as our finisher is a single object bicep curl. So Em's going to grab one dumbbell and she's going to hold on to either end. Now, you might have a backpack, you might have a barbell, you might have a kettlebell. It doesn't matter what it is, but we just want both hands on that same object. And what we're going to do, Em's going to lock her upper arm against her rib cage and she's going to curl up to about shoulder height. Okay, so she's back and forth. So really the only part of her body that moves is that elbow joint. Okay, no lower arm. Everything else is going to stay nice and stable. So we're going to do 4 sets of 40 seconds on and 20 seconds off. Now, it doesn't particularly matter how many reps you get per 40-second block. What we want to do is just have nice, continuous, controlled movement. So this is probably slightly slower tempo than the workout. It's more about getting really good quality contractions through those biceps. So, and when you're ready, we'll get that timer on. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So we are on for 40 seconds, guys, resting for 20. We're doing 4 rounds of this. So we're looking at that kind of inside front surface, that bicep area of the upper arm we're really getting into. So this is definitely going to help with all things, anything pulling related. So any kind of snatches, any kind of pull-ups, rows, anything like that. Renegade rows, the stuff where we're kind of drawing in towards the body, that bicep is going to be on deck for them. So this is going to strengthen that up. And resting, so 20 seconds off, that's 1 set down. We've got 3 to go. All right, 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So important to notice here the motion at Em's elbow. So she is fully stretching out to straight, but she's not going loose at the bottom. So she's not disengaging. She's actually keeping an active bicep as she opens the elbows up. And then at the top there, she's ending up at about sort of shoulder height. What we don't want to have happen is her end up kind of above shoulder height or anything like that, because we don't want those elbows slipping away from the position that they're already in. We want that to stay as a static position. So make sure that you're not above shoulder height at the top. And resting. Okay, halfway through, guys. We've got 2 sets to finish off. All right, 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So the other piece to this, guys, is the rest of the body, right? Em's head's nice and tall, and her body's staying completely still. So what that means is that her feet are nice and grounded. She's not kind of rocking forwards and backwards on them or calf raising up to try and move the dumbbell. She's got her quads, her glutes, and her abs all locked in place. So this is very similar to what we would do for like a strict press. And that way, when this starts to get tiring and her biceps start to fatigue, she's not going to arch or lean back, trying to wrench that dumbbell up to the top. She's making the biceps do the work. And resting. All right, we've got 1 more round to finish off. And then we're going to go through some stretches to finish up. Three, 2, 1, and go for it. So last set on these, guys. Remember, nice and controlled at the elbow. Don't let that upper arm move anywhere. Should have the sense that your shoulder blades are kind of slightly set back, so they're kind of in a nice active, controlled set position. And we've got a tempo of sort of about 1 to 2 seconds up, 1 to 2 seconds down. Again, this is not a fast-paced sprinting kind of a movement. It's just nice and controlled, really targeting that muscle group. And done. All right, so that's the 4th set done, guys. That's our finisher. We're going to get into some stretching now. So if you want to grab a quick drink, and then we're going to set up into our first stretch. All right, so our first one that we're going to do, guys, it's 60 seconds of a Russian baby maker. So what's going to happen, Em's going to go kind of squat stance with the feet. She's going to grab onto her toes, and we're just going to slowly for 60 seconds go back and forth from down in a nice deep squat to a high hip position. So if we sort of go, we'll go timer on. We think sort of 3 or so seconds coming down, slight pause at the bottom, and then 3 or so seconds coming up. 2, 1, and go for it. So moving in and out of that squat position, really trying to loosen up through the hips, through the groin, through the hamstrings. You can hit a nice deep squat position at the bottom. You'll probably get a really good quad and ankle stretch as well. So with this one, what you'll find, especially at the top part when your bum goes up, chances are you'll have probably a little bit of rounding at the back, and that's okay. That's not too much of a stress. But what we want to try and do ideally is straighten the back out as much as we can, especially in the bottom position, in that squat position. So start asking a little bit more of your hamstrings. Down, so just really arching that chest up, pushing the hips down through the middle there, and then pushing up into those hamstrings. And done. So that's our first one, guys. Second one we're going to do is a Cossack squat. So again, we'll do this nice and slow. We'll keep that timer running in. We're just going to go side to side for 1 minute. So wide stance. She's going to sink down to the corner. Okay, so one leg straight, one leg sitting into a squat, and then we go back and forth. About sort of 5 seconds per rep there. You notice that the leg that's staying straight, so Em's left leg right now, the toe is going to kind of lift off the ground and point up slightly. That will allow you to get into a better position. The leg that she's sitting down to, she's going to flare that knee out to the side and try and keep her weight on the heel. So if you need to hold on to, the leg of a coffee table or the edge of a couch or something to allow yourself to sit back into it, that's cool. And done. All right, awesome, guys. If you have time, do a little bit more of that stretching, or if you want to head out for a cool down walk, that can be a good idea. Otherwise, guys, have an awesome day. We will catch you next time. Be safe. We'll see you then.